Hey, Spartan fans, welcome in to the Michigan State Spartans Insider Podcast. I'm your beat reporter from Michigan State Spartans on SI, Aidan Champion. And yesterday, Michigan State football had its first scrimmage of fall camp. Scrimmages are important because that's where you kind of gauge where things are at, whether that's, certain aspects of the game or position battles, whatnot. And so I'm interested to hear about a few things and where things are progressing. And number one, position battles, namely running back. And I know I said the other day, running back to me, that position battle, I think is kind of getting overblown. I think we're looking at it a little too hard because ultimately won't matter um, all that much because number one, the offensive line is the run game all boils down to that. How successful they are in the run game will come down to how successful the offensive line is. And then two, I think it's going to be a running back by committee kind of approach, even uh, even when a starter, even when we get a starter, I don't think it'll matter all too much because I think there will be other guys that will be getting a lot of reps. But um, I'm still interested to know who's going to win that battle because there's some solid guys in that room, and there's a lack of experience with namely Makai Frazier, Brandon Tullis, and then Elijah Tautalver, while he's a vet, this is his first season with Michigan State. So there's in that regard, there's inexperience with this program. So um I am interested to see who wins it, but we won't know that, when we talk to coaches tomorrow. Um I don't think any they're gonna say who's won any battles. I think we'll find that out when we see everyone take the field on August 29th against Western Michigan. But I guess I'd like to know maybe if some guys are separating themselves because that's when, that happens is in the scrimmages. So, um, so that's something I'd like to hear. I'd like to know, how some freshmen did. If there's any freshmen that stood out, I know Jonathan Smith, first day of fall camp, said that Derek Simmons really stood out to him, four-star defensive lineman. And I want to know if that progress has continued, if they've continued to be impressed by him. And Jonathan Smith said he fit right in. Was that the case at scrimmage? Because, mind you, I mean, we don't know anything that happened from scrimmage. We don't get access. So those are the questions um, that I'm hoping are answered tomorrow when we talk to Jonathan Smith. But yeah, freshmen, I want to know if anyone's really, um, standing out as someone who it seems like they're a guy who could see some impactful snaps this season. And Derek Simmons, I think, is one of those guys. Um, you think about Jace Clarizio, Aiden West, Braylon Collier, those guys, and how they're coming along so far in camp, and if they impressed during the scrimmage. I'd like to know if how the red zone offense is looking because that was a major weakness for this team last season and held it back a lot from getting points on the board. And they know this obviously, and it was a big emphasis this off season. So I'd like to know if how that's coming along and if they feel confident that that's something that is going to improve this season, and if there's things that maybe they saw last year that were flaws in that area, and um, if it's clear that they've been addressed so far in camp and have improved. So I'd like to know that, and then um, rushing the passer, that was obviously really big thing. The defense, major weakness for them last season. went through a long stretch there where they could not reach the quarterback, and they've talked about this in fall camp. It has been an emphasis, so I'd like to know if they're seeing that change, if they're noticing guys, um, putting pressure on the quarterback and disrupting the backfield. They brought in some key edge rushers, so um, that will kind of tell if it was a matter of personnel or just something in what they were teaching, or whatever the case may be. I think the coaches will probably start to get an idea of that now that they've had a scrimmage, and they're already going into week 3 of fall camp now. So there's a lot that you have at your disposal there to um, to get feedback off of, and you'll I would think through 2 weeks you'd have learned a lot by now. But now's the time of camp where you've installed um, you've installed things for, newer guys, and maybe made some tweaks to your systems. And so this is the point now where it's time to perfect all those things, and really, really hammer them as the season gets closer. But those are some of the things that come to mind off the top of my head. Special teams would like to know where that's at. If they've got maybe uh, like punt returning, for example, if they're closer to settling in on someone that they're trusting to return punts. My guess is Omari Kelly, considering the success he had in that area at Middle Tennessee State. But I don't know, because he said they've got a lot of guys who are repping that in camp. So we'll see. Maybe we'll see how that's progressing, and if they're closer to having their guy. Um, would like to know how kicking is going. So those are really the things that I'm most curious about with this scrimmage. Um, and I hope the staff, for the sake of this team, I hope they feel confident about where things are at, because you don't want to come out of the first scrimmage and be scratching your head like, man, we got a lot to work on. Obviously, you do want to have things that you got to work on, but you don't want to be, um, 2 weeks through fall camp and having glaring questions about where things are at. Um, I guess one thing too, I should throw in an obvious one is Aiden Childs, how he's if there were if the mistakes were kind of cut down in the scrimmage, if he was protecting the ball, um and just if he did well, because obviously worked with him a lot this offseason. The staff did. He worked on his game, and both on and off the field. So would like to know if it's evident that that work is paying off, and um, so love to know how that's going, and then if any receivers stood out, because obviously he's got a very talented receiving core at his disposal. Um, and then along with him, I guess just if there's any other veterans who, are expected to take a leap, if they've shown that they're capable of doing that. If there's anyone who's separating themselves as kind of a leader, um, particularly like vocally on the field, calling things out, making sure guys are where they need to be. And so, um, so yeah, I'm eager to hear about all these things. And I uh I hope we do. I hope Jonathan Smith and whomever cover all those things. So Yeah, let me know, what do you guys think? Were some things you're wondering about that first scrimmage, and hopefully we're able to provide you a lot of feedback tomorrow. So, with all that said, thank you everyone for tuning in. As always, hope you all had a great weekend. Hope you have a great start to your week, and we are getting closer and closer to football. August 29th is almost here. So, hope you guys are excited, and I will talk to you next time. Thank you.